Noel Saabye, thank you for joining us today and chatting with us on the podcast. So I want to have you take us back to the late '90s and talk a little bit about your path that led you to cartoon orbit. Was this something that you fell into, or was this something that you kind of chased down?
Sure. A little bit of both. So previously, I'd been doing some TV animation. Worked for a studio out of Chicago area called cToons, and they're best known for doing like Animaniacs and
Mm,
Pinky and the Brain, that kind of stuff.
yeah.
And so I was working there, and most of the work that was coming out of there was from Tom Ruger. He was kind of the guy that put together most of those shows. And so his time at Warner's came to an end, and so the studio was, you know, having a hard time at work. And a friend of mine was in Atlanta and said, "Hey, there's a ton of Cartoon Network work up here. Come on up, or come on down." So I ended up packing my bags and sleeping on my buddy's couch,
Really?
and yeah, and started making some contacts with Cartoon Network folks and doing various. Started off doing a lot of storyboards
Hmm.
and made this contact with this guy at Cartoon Latin America, and he was working with the at the time Jim Samples was the head of Cartoon Latin America,
Okay.
and so one day we were having lunch and he says, "Hey, Jim Samples is moving over to Cartoon Network to work on their website, and it sounds like they have an opportunity for an animator." And so he um he got me in the door there to have that interview, and and then I had my first interview for what would become Cartoon Orbit. Excuse me. It was I remember this interview very well. It was Paul Pola and Sam Register.
Oh yeah, I know the
And
names.
so I'm sitting at this desk or at this table in this conference room, and Pola's sitting to my right, and Sam's giving me the pitch. This is what Orbit's going to be. And it was very early, um, drawings and stuff on poster board and stuff that he was showing me. And he's like, and we're looking for an animator that can do this stuff for the web and yada yada. And at the same time, um, Pola's looking through my I had a little portfolio and I had my resume in a folder and everything. And she pulls out my um, letter recommendation from StarTunes from my boss at the time, and she goes, "You worked here?" And I was like, "Yeah, yeah." As I'm listening to Sam do his pitch, and she kind of stops Sam from asking me questions, and she goes, "He's got the job." And Sam's like, "What?" And she's like, "I've worked with StarTunes before at a previous company I was at, and they are top notch. And if he got a job there, he's more than qualified to
Hmm.
work with us." And so they were like, "Well, great, okay, you got the gig." And um, and so that's kind of how that came up. I really didn't know too much going into the interview what I was interviewing for.
Yeah.
But I had thankfully just kind of dabbled in Flash and was doing all sorts of other stuff as well. And so there was very little Flash involved in my work in Orbit, but I was familiar with putting artwork into a computer at the time and making
Hmm.
it animate.
Yeah, that's interesting. So, for those that maybe aren't aware, how would you describe Cartoon Orbit, and also why do you think it kind of like clicks so fast for kids?
Um, so if I'm talking to somebody
Yeah.
and they're explaining, like asking, like, what did you do at Cartoon Network? And I always explain, worked on this thing called Cartoon Orbit. And for those that don't know, I always explain it as um, digital color forms,
Hmm.
because color forms were a big thing when I was a kid, pre computers, where you had all your Flintstone characters and you stuck them all over the background.
Yeah. Okay.
And
Yep.
so so that's kind of how I explain that to those that are familiar with color forms. Um, and I'm sorry, what was the second part of that?
The second
The
part is like, why do you think it clicks so fast
Oh yeah.
for kids? Because I mean, it reached like within a couple of years. I think it was at like 800,000, something like
Right.
that. Like it was pretty wild for back then, especially.
Yeah, I mean I definitely think that for one, the internet at that time was new. It to what it was at the
Yeah,
time. You know,
yeah,
I mean, because I started working there in 2000, and that was like the big internet boom. Like companies were just tossing money left and right at
yeah,
websites. And so there was all this big excitement, and Cartoon Network was really doing something I personally had never seen before. Now, granted, I wasn't a child going out there looking for entertainment on the internet,
yeah,
but I know that there were quite a few things that followed. Like I had nieces and nephews that were doing something called Club Penguin,
yeah, yeah.
and you know, so that kind of thing grew. But at the time, I mean, I remember we even had um, someone from Adobe like step up and say, like, how did you guys even do this? Like our product was not designed to do this.
Hmm.
And so we had one guy that was so good with Flash that he had um, kind of an inside at Adobe
Hmm.
to be able to like recommend updates and stuff.
Oh,
Like
interesting.
they were listening to him because he was just
Yeah,
that good with it. So, you know, for us working on it at the time, it was just something kind of cool and fun. Like, hey, we're all a Cartoon Network,
yeah,
you know.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, I think kids just really jumped on it because you could physically do something with these characters you saw on TV, and because Cartoon Network was never big on doing a lot of toys.
Yeah.
You don't find like action figures much. I know there was a handful of stuff, but so
Right.
this is really a good time for kids to just kind of get on there. They didn't have to worry about their parents spending money at Target, buying toys. I mean, you could literally get on there and play with the Powerpuff Girls or play with the Flintstones, and who doesn't love that? And it was free.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Well, and so a way that I've described it, I was talking with somebody in the community the other day, and I was like, I mean, it really, when you look back at it, was like an early version of NFTs in a way. Like when
Yeah,
NFTs came out, I was like, wait a minute, I've seen this before. Like,
right.
right? Like I can't put it on a board that I can show my friends, but like there's just purchasing digital art assets and things. I was like, okay, this is familiar. Um, and I also was talking to someone else about just the feeling of it. Like as a kid back then, it was just like
Mhm.
you could mold it into what you wanted. And I think we had not seen anything like that on the internet yet,
Right.
at least not at that scale. And I kind of liken it to the MySpace customizations that you can make, right? Like you make it
Yeah.
your own space, and that kind of becomes the allure. And it, you could rank your friends on MySpace, whereas in Cartoon Orbit, you were putting your favorite tunes on and just kind of like showing
Right.
people what you liked and trading and things like that. So it's kind of hits on similar zeitgeist, I guess, throughout
Yeah.
time. But yeah, no, that makes a
Yeah.
lot of sense.
And it was very much an early social media ish type thing.
Hmm. It seems like it's like all the right things kind of came together that made it successful, and like
Right.
just right people came in place to build this thing that like really just nobody knew they wanted, especially kids, but like
Right.
really clung on to. Yeah, that makes sense. Tell me about the first day on the Orbit team. Maybe it sounded a little bit like, Sam was kind of selling the vision of we're here making the future on dial-up internet, or like what was just the atmosphere like in that team? Because it sounds like it was quite a small team.
Yeah. So there was actually a lot of ramp up to it. So because initially the launch build was created by Funny Garbage,
Mm.
which they're out of New York, and they had previously been like known for doing like Garbage Pail Kids.
Oh yeah.
They like kicked that off. So I my time there started, and they were not yet ready to put me onto Cartoon Orbit because there had to be this big, like, kind of passing of the baton kind of thing that
Hmm.
took place. So, because at the time they were, so first of all, we were in the William Street office that had become Adult Swim.
Hmm.
So, like at the end of all the Adult Swim shows, you see that
Yeah. Oh yeah.
corner billing. So that was ours at first.
That's awesome.
And um, so I started, and I actually ended up animating some minor games. I remember, I think the very first thing I did, it was a cow and chicken, some kind of cow and chicken game, and I just remember the characters had to run up and down and sideways and through some like maze type stuff. I don't
Okay.
remember
I
exactly too much.
yeah.
Um, that was like the first thing, because and then they had to send me to New York to go meet with Funny Garbage and kind of get the lay of the land.
Hmm.
How are they building these? What is my process going to be? And so we kind of got all that figured out, and then I got back, and then kind of started making sure I had all my equipment and the process set up right. And then so there wasn't really a definitive like first day, because it was new.
There's like this process over time.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
completely new, and so no one had ever done it before. I mean, at the time, for like the first couple of years, we were just drawing on paper, scanning it into the computer, cleaning up the scans and coloring it and stuff, until one day they were like, "Hey, we got you these, Wacom screens," and we're like, What is this thing?" And then we had to like, it was so like, "You're never gonna pull the paper away from me." Um, but it did save time and improved quality. So
That's nice. Uh, what did kind of the so you were a lead animator there.
right,
What did kind of the lead actually mean in your workflow and kind of the team rituals and things?
sure. So I eventually talked them into letting me, quite early on. I actually talked them into letting me bring someone else on to help me, because, like I said, I was drawing on the paper, then I was scanning everything, and I was cleaning it up, and it was just
Mm,
a lot of work. And with the amount of work we wanted to put out, there's just too much. So I brought in this guy named Brian, who he had been an intern at a local animation studio in Atlanta that I was working with, and um, so I knew that he would he'd be able to kind of come in and help me out, but not have too high of expectations for
mm.
what the job was, because a lot of my like more seasoned animator friends, they'd have been like, "I'm not scanning your work." so so we brought in Brian, and he would kind of take care of those things so I could focus on doing all the drawing. And then as we kind of got into a better groove, I was able to kind of give Brian some of the easier stuff and kind of explain to him, like, I wanted to start here and I wanted to end here, and you need a couple in
Mm,
betweens, um, or hey, I don't have time to color these things. So that's kind of what it means by the lead,
yeah,
in,
that makes
in that
sense.
in that sense. Yeah.
Yeah. And there were quite a few, I mean, really great sets. Dragon Ball Z, Pokemon definitely come to mind as ones that stood out to
Mm.
me as a kid. What was the licensing and kind of like the cross studio collaboration like on the art side? I mean, did that play a lot into like, gosh, we're waiting on these approvals or anything? Or did you have to like get approvals on the back end for how, what it would look like?
um, wow. Let me see. I'm trying to remember exactly the process for those. I want to say with a lot of the stuff like Dragon Ball Z and whatnot, because I think what we did was, I think we received style guide art from
Okay.
it. I
Yeah.
believe that's what we did. We also may have screen grabbed from the TV, or like
Mm, really?
video clips. Yeah, we did that a couple times, because it was, sometimes it was really hard to get assets.
So,
So
so what did that look like?
um, we would literally like get a video clip, like let's say YouTube type of thing,
Yeah.
and frame by frame it and screenshot them and then
Okay.
trace over them.
Got it. Okay. Yeah.
And so if the artwork looked really good, we had style guide art. If you looked at it and went, "Hey, that shoulder doesn't look right," we were screenshotting it from video.
Got it. Okay. Yep. That makes sense. You could definitely like. There's definitely some like tunes that look higher quality than others, so it makes sense that
Right.
yeah, where that process came in. And then, what about just kind of prize packs, T-shirts? There was gToons collectible cards,
Mhm.
postcards. Were those like Cartoon Network store drops or event exclusives or just internal things only? Did y'all have a hand in doing those?
Um, so we didn't. So we had. I remember they had the Cartoon Network store, the online store,
Yeah.
and they were in our office. I did not work on any of that merch.
Okay. Yeah.
Um, I don't know where it came from,
Interesting.
but I
Okay.
knew the people that managed the store were just a few cubes away. They
Yeah.
were, which is great because when we wanted that stuff, it was really
You
easy to
just
get.
the boxes were right there. Yeah.
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 I want to say most of it was in a warehouse somewhere, but we did have, it was easy for us to get our hands on it. Um, so we didn't have anything to do with that. We did, Cartoon Network often got, we'd get inner office like swag type stuff.
Hmm.
Posters were around the office a lot. I've got a maquette sitting on a shelf here still from that. Um, Trying to think of what else but it was like always like t-shirts and water
Yeah.
bottles, and so there's a lot of that stuff. And again, most of that came from Cartoon Network corporate,
Hmm.
and so we didn't have our hands in that.
Makes sense.
um, I don't remember anything particular that came through like Orbit.
Yeah.
you know
It's been interesting over the years of watching people online, especially on Reddit, just kind of like piece these things together. And like someone years later will randomly pop up on Reddit and be like, oh my gosh, I just found this in my mom's basement from when I was a kid. And it's like, there was a watch that was
yeah,
like very limited time. There was also like the gToons collectible cards, and those go like crazy on eBay as well
yeah,
now. So it's very interesting to see all the different merch that does come pop up over the years.
yeah. I recall having a the Cartoon Out Orbit poster that was like the Jetsons car with all the characters sitting in it.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yep,
I remember having that. Um,
that's cool.
Not Cartoon Orbit, but one of my coworkers had the Mojo Jojo electric guitar.
Oh, I've not seen that.
It's amazing.
I need to go look that one
So
up.
the body of it is Mojo, and
Let me see if I can.
the shape is his cape, and I wish I had bought it. It's really awesome. They
Let's
did a
see.
Powerpuff Girl bass, which was a heart with the girls
Oh
on it,
yeah,
and the
yeah,
Mojo guitar. Yeah,
yeah.
that's it. Yeah, one of my coworkers had it, and I was so jealous of him
That's awesome.
for getting that. Yeah, and you can see there's the image of the bass on it too.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Yeah, I hadn't seen that before. That is a new one for me. That's cool.
Yeah, but I've got the maquette of the Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy sitting on a shelf above
Oh
me,
yeah, yeah, yeah. People love that set
and
even today.
I personally I didn't keep a lot of the stuff that they gave us. I became kind of the one stop anytime someone brought their nephew to the office,
Yeah,
because they, hey, let's go see what Noel's drawing, and I just kept it all in all the free stuff in a drawer, and I'd be like, hey, kid,
there
just, here you go,
you
here's
go.
a whatever, um, just to make it more magical that they.
Yeah, absolutely. That's cool. So walk us through like the creation of a C tune, and
Wow. Okay.
like what did I know you talked a little bit about like the different pieces, but like what who decided, right? Like what cToon was gonna be
Sure.
done, and then how did it get to shipping it and putting it out there into the world?
So the typical cToon, let's say a set of like Scooby Doo characters, whatever the villain, there would be, or even like some holidays that we did. There was a couple of writers. So it started off with Lisa, and she eventually moved on to something else, and Robert took her place. But they would kind of come up with a plan several weeks in advance of like, hey, Christmas is coming up. So in November, we're, deciding what's going to happen for Christmas. Well, they're deciding. So they would
Yeah.
look and see, is there going to be a premiere of something? You know, um, maybe a Christmas episode of Ed, and Eddie.
Hmm.
So that would already be animated, by that point. So we would
Mm-hmm.
we would get some of the you know, um, screenshots from it, or we would get kind of model sheets and things like that. And so they would kind of write up X. We had kind of X amount of characters per week were coming out, and they'd
Hmm.
kind of say, "This is what we want. These characters doing these things." And they'd send that to me, and then I would have, I want to say, a week or two to get those done. And so between myself and Brian, it would be like, depending on how busy my schedule is, I might send them over to him for coloring or
Yeah.
whatever. And then we just had to kind of package them up. Like, we knew we had the cToons had like a first state, which is not moving, and then if they were animated, they'd have a second state. And then the writers would also write up like the all the text that goes along with them.
Yeah.
So if you clicked on the little eye,
Yep.
whatever, it would pop up and give you some background text on.
Yeah. So Robert Cass was telling me, because I've got another podcast with him coming up,
Oh,
and
okay.
he was saying that like at one point he was told like we don't want to do that much writing because kids don't read.
All right.
And so like I thought that was a funny. I was like, oh really? That's interesting. But I mean, like again, we're starting to see the early internet here, right? So
Right.
yeah.
Yeah. And so he would kind of write that stuff up, and then it would just all come together. I don't even remember exactly how we had to deliver that, other than the single frame and then the animated piece, and then we'd go, okay, here's all the characters. I think we probably just stuck them in a folder somewhere, and then someone else grabbed them from there.
Oh, okay. Yeah. That's
And
interesting.
and yeah, and then someone else would. I believe there was someone had a back end thing they could just upload the files to, and then put the text in, and then they'd probably set the
Push
date,
out.
and it would just push it out to the environment.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah, the set process is very different today for the remake. On Cartoon Read Orbit, it's like me and a few other folks, the moderators are like, "What do we want to do?" Like, it's nice because we have this pool of all the old cToons, and then there's people that have made cToons, like artists that have come along and been like, "I like
Oh,
this
wow,
show," and made their own cToons, right? And so
that's
there's
great.
like this big Google Drive that we have that we kind of like share with everybody,
Hmm.
and we're like, what do we want to pull? And so like, yeah, it's a fun process. Probably it sounds like a lot faster process, obviously, than what y'all had going on back then.
Probably, because we were just figuring out as we went.
Actually making them, yeah, that's fun. What about so this is a like this is a topic for the community is pre-flash versus full flash days. Apparently, I don't remember this as a kid, but apparently a lot of people are like things didn't go well after moving to full flash era.
Hmm.
And I think it was more around some like just duplicate accounts and things like that. But a lot of people like kind of talk about the pre-flash era as this golden era. Again, I played through the whole thing. I didn't really realize it, I guess, as a kid. But I'm curious for you, what was the difference between like was there any art differences that you had to kind of keep in mind, or was the pipeline different then?
Um, Good point. I'm trying to remember. I do remember this happening. Um, and I want to say there was a lot of kind of hiccups in the system at the time.
Bumps in the
Like you
road.
said,
Yeah.
duplicate accounts and whatnot. I remember that kind of stuff happening because I want to say that that happened before gToons.
That
Because
sounds right. Yeah.
I think gToons is full Flash.
Yeah. It is.
Um, and as far as the cToon creation is goes, I believe that it just came down to, um, you know, we were able to use vector art, and it was much cleaner, and so we had tons of vector art
Hmm.
from style guides, tons of it, and so we were able to just go, as long as you don't want it animated, blah, here's
Yeah.
we got everything. What do you want?
That's nice.
Um, and I seem to even remember, um, at one point, um, I want to say that Orbit started to kind of started its fizzle. All
Hmm.
right, and so Robert and he worked with another woman, and I cannot remember her name. Um, but they started to take on other responsibilities outside of Orbit, and so Orbit was less of a priority. And what would happen was
Hmm.
we were left waiting, like, where's our list? And like, well, we haven't gotten to it yet.
Interesting. Okay.
And
Yeah.
so, um, Robert and I had our moments, but
Oh yeah.
in the long, I mean, it was just
Yeah. I know what you
production
mean.
line, and so, um, what eventually ended up happening was me kind of deciding, like, we're just gonna make stuff.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna worry about it because he's busy with other priorities.
Right.
This is not the biggest priority for him anymore. So we just were like, we're gonna make a whole bunch of cToons, and they can pick from there.
Hmm.
So they don't have to worry about all this stuff. And so, especially if there were just still images that didn't do anything,
Mm-hmm.
like,
It
you
was a lot
take all
easier.
these, like, I mean, I must have had 100 poses of just the Powerpuff Girls,
Hmm.
right? And so
Yeah.
it's like, take everyone we haven't used before, knock out all of the files for it because there's no drawing involved, and um, just go, hey, here you go.
Yeah.
Now, now you don't have to stress getting this stuff done. Just go ahead and pick something from the bucket.
Just planning from pulling what you got. Yep. That
Right.
makes yeah. That makes a lot of sense. What about like file size, bandwidth constraints? Is there anything that kind of like haunts you from back then that you were like kind of shackled because of certain constraints? I mean, because it
Uh,
was on dial up for a lot.
right.
We had to wait a long time for some things.
There were. And the performance of Flash at the time. So I think for me the biggest thing was, um, we really had to conserve on frames, with the characters.
Mm,
Like, I had come off several years of doing TV shows and commercials, and was used to doing these big wild animations, and then suddenly have to knock that down to these teeny tiny little gifs,
yeah,
and still make it interesting. And so, it it wasn't always easy,
yeah,
because sometimes I'd be like, I was a big fan of the classic Hanna-Barbera stuff, so I'm like, I want
yeah.
to do Yogi Bear and do some really funny stuff that he does on an episode, like the double takes and stuff, and you couldn't always do that,
Hmm.
or you had to cheat it and cut down the amount of frames. And so, um, I had also been a big fan of Tex Avery style animation.
Hmm.
And so, all the wild takes and the blurs and things like that. And so, kind of incorporated some of those blur things in just so we could get a couple extra frames and do something extra funny. But,
Yeah,
um, it, so it was tough at times, mostly just because you wanted to do it out of the love of doing this artwork
yeah,
more than anything. And it's like, oh, I can't do that, but how can I do close enough?
yeah, yeah.
You
No,
know?
that makes sense. And there, I would be interested when we get to this part of it, but I kind of want to go look at some cToons and see if there's any that like stood out to you. But you know what's funny is like the ones where the beauty of looking back at it now, like we have all the flash files and we can
Hmm.
deconstruct them and look at them, and but the ones that are kind of even the fewest frames are the
Hmm.
some of the most iconic too, that folks really love. And so uh, it's interesting to hear you talk about like, I really wanted to push it here, but like from our perspective, right, of the
Hmm.
consumer side, it was like, nah, just like the 2 or 3 frames. Actually, this is what made this like. That's what we remember. That's what's
Right.
nostalgic for us in a way.
Right.
So that's really interesting. Um, and then,
I
yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say I the other day after you had talked or emailed with me, I started doing some Google search because I'm like, I want to remember like some of the stuff I did so I can
Yeah,
talk about it. And I came across Blossom as Spawn
Blossom's
and
Bond. I don't.
Spawn
Oh,
the
Spawn. Oh yes.
yeah.
Oh yes. That's like one of the classic ones. Yeah.
Yeah, and so I remember making her like cape the tail wave in the
Yeah.
wind like Spawn, and so that was one of them. I remember like we just had to just do what we could. We couldn't make it flow and do really cool stuff, and it was
That's
um
interesting.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's one people still talk about today in our Discord and everything. Like people bring up that one a lot. We're trying to figure out like when's the right time to release that one. Like we're trying to. So yeah, that's cool. What about any guardrails or performance budgets? You kind of talked about this a little bit, but especially when it came to because with Winball, I don't know if you did some of the games within Cartoon Orbit. So there were
Wow.
like games, but then there was just like I don't know, like the UI on the page. Also, parts of it I remember kind of animating or just being playful in a way.
Mhm.
And so when you combine all of that together, right? I mean, that's from the cTune perspective. You definitely want on a dial-up connection, you're loading in all these little images, but then you've
Mhm.
got the UI as well. Was there any kind of guardrails, other guardrails that you enforced?
um I mean, they definitely discourage gradients
Oh, okay, interesting.
at the time, just because gradients
Yeah,
take up more file size.
yep, that
um
makes sense.
I can't say that I always followed that.
Okay, was there a
um
specific time that you feel like you were like, you know what, damn it, I'm doing this? Like,
I I always kind of looked at it like, well, this is what I want to do. Does it, because we had to like before I guess you could say shipped off the files, check the file size, and so I would always do it with those gradients in it, and then if
kind of
it
refine
was
it.
yeah, if it was within the guidelines, I'd be like, yeah, let's just let it roll.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna redo it without the gradients just
right.
so we can bring it down even more because it's within the guidelines. So
Yeah,
that was kind of my way of thinking.
yeah, that makes sense. Uh, and it also like this just occurred to me too. Like everything that you just said, I've always wondered like, oh, well, why do they only allow us to have? I think it was like 200 C tunes at
Mm.
first, and I'm like, oh, this is probably why. Because if you try to load in any more, then that you're gonna be sitting
Oh
there
yeah,
forever waiting for things to load back then. So
I recall pages that would just crash your computer because they'd have so many C tunes all over them. They're just like, I'm putting everything on there. I
yeah,
want everyone to know everything I gained,
yeah,
and it was like, and then if they moved, forget it. It was
yeah,
like,
yeah. That's funny. Any kind of like Easter eggs or favorite C tunes that you had, or like Easter eggs that you maybe even put like inside the C tunes or inside the UI or any of the games or anything?
um, I can only think of one that stands out, but it was not in a C tune thing. It was in something completely different.
Yeah.
Um, so for a short time, we decided we were going to make some e cards. I don't know
Hmm.
if you remember those. but e-cards were huge at the time. There was all those like,
Yep.
your grandma's sending you,
Yeah.
precious moment e-cards and stuff. So Cartoon Network decided we're going to put e-cards on the site. And I did this one. It was for Justice League, and it had that Bruce Timm look to it. It was that
Mm.
Justice League. Do you know what I'm
I
talking about? The
no.
very stylized um and so it's supposed to be, well, it was all the character, the Superman, Wonder Woman, Batman, uh Aquaman, whatever, and they're all standing on the space station looking out a window down on Earth.
Hmm. Interesting
And
style.
and then it was just supposed to be this thing. They didn't move. It just suddenly the words appeared like peace on earth, goodwill towards men, whatever.
Hmm.
And it was very boring. So for a joke, I drew a picture of Baboon from IR Baboon
Yeah.
in a spacesuit. And he didn't move, and he just had his arms and legs out, and he looked like he was really confused. And if you pulled up the card and you knew the special key command, which I've completely forgot by now, it was like you just had to push like one button. He just slowly kind of went by their window. And so we released this thing, and I'm like walking around the office, telling my buddies, I'm like, open that card and
Go
hit this
go do
button.
that.
And then you just like somebody cackling and over in this cube and that cube. And
That's
um
great.
but that was really, that I can think of, that was probably the only like Easter egg I ever put in there was that, and it went live, but nobody,
No,
unless you
yeah.
just accidentally click that one button at the right time.
Yeah, that's interesting. And I'm assuming that was done with like Flash and stuff too.
Yeah, yeah, that was all in
That's
Flash.
interesting. I wonder if we have it. We so using the Wayback Machine, I had a script that like went and just scraped everything from the Wayback Machine, like all the
Wow.
SWF files and ping
Hmm.
files and literally every image that the Wayback Machine has. We may actually have that and can deconstruct it and look for it again.
Oh my
That'd be
God, I
funny.
would love to see that again.
That
That
would
was
be funny.
hilarious.
Yeah, we'll get on that for sure. So they had different like the blueback C rings. They had the
Remember that?
golden cToons, auction only, holiday. Did the rarity tier shape kind of the art, the layout, and kind of animation choices y'all had?
Um, yes. So we, again, that came from Robert. He would say
Hmm.
like, "Hey, I think we want to do this," and Robert or Lisa, or, um, it was, they'd kind of come to us with an idea and then go, "Hey, I think we should do this," and it was like, "Okay, cool." And then like for the gold C tunes, I think I just put a template together that kind of helped me knock them out real quick,
Yeah,
and I don't think any of those actually animated.
I don't think so. I've not come
Um,
across one. Yeah.
yeah, I'm not. I'm pretty sure they didn't because they had a gradient on
Yep. Yep.
them.
Yeah, we
So
also it's really funny you say that because we also have a template for making golden C tunes as well
okay,
that we just like do real quick. So it's funny
yeah,
that the artist that we work with, she kind
right.
of did a similar thing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I was big on templates. That helped move things along, and
yeah, move
so
things along faster.
there was
That's interesting.
also a bunch of, I don't remember what I called them, but they were it was kind of a circle with the character in the front, and then there was like a kind of a blue kind of pill shape with the words on
Yeah,
it, and we
um,
would,
let me
again,
see.
template.
Yeah, I think we recently. I don't know if you can see my screen or not. Can you see when I screen share like
Mhm.
that? Yeah.
Oh
So
yeah,
yeah,
those.
so like that one.
That's not exactly what I was just thinking about, but I do remember those.
Yeah.
Wow, I haven't seen most of this stuff in ages.
Yeah. 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 It's really nice. We got a bunch of Powerpuff Girls. People love the Powerpuff Girl C tunes. This one kind of a C ring look as well.
Hmm.
And then I know for sure. See if I can. find our C rings.
Oh my god, I remember that Johnny in the pink outfit. That was
Yeah,
fun.
Ballet Johnny. I'll have to keep scrolling, but there's definitely a C ring around here. This is a custom one, not one from. That's
Right.
a King of the Hill reference there, and Dragon Ball Z reference. I was trying to find. So there were a bunch of these that were
Oh
like
my god.
cartoon Fridays.
Yeah, I remember those, but the bouncing
Yeah, red
devil,
guy.
like
Yeah,
that's probably one of my favorites was
yeah,
19 Cents Butt.
yeah.
And I loved animating like Cow and Chicken. Those were great.
Yeah, cow and chicken is a fun set as well. We got the golden cow
Hmm.
as well, a bunch of cow and chicken, um, and then some of these
Yeah.
were animated as well.
Hmm. So prior to Orbit, I directed Double D hosting Cartoon Fridays.
Oh, really?
Hmm.
Yeah. So the C rings, these were like the blue bag. Is that the one you
Yeah,
were thinking? Kind of
that's
like the
kind of what
one.
I was thinking of. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. We've got a number of those as well. And then, was there any particular? So you did a lot of stuff with sponsors. Um,
Hmm.
was there any type of sponsor that was just like a wild request, like things were just crazy?
Yeah, I want to say it was when you get Robert on here, ask him. But I want to
Okay.
say it was Burger King. And if I remember correctly, whoever made the deal with them, like, didn't talk to me first
Oh yeah.
and sold this outlandish idea. And they came back to me and like, yeah, so this is what it's going to do. And I was like, the system doesn't even do that. Like, what do you do? What are we going to, how are we going to pull this off? And it was kind of a figure it out kind of scenario.
Do you remember what situation it was? Like what?
I want to say there was some kind of container and things had to go like you got codes from like probably through Happy Meal type stuff, whatever
Hmm.
Burger King's Happy
Yep.
Meal was, and you had to click these things into place. And I,
Interesting.
for some reason, I want to think of like a disc with some like holes in it or something like or maybe it was like a octagon or something, but I remember there was positions around it that these pieces had to lock into,
Let me see.
and it was so crazy. And I think I want to say the center had like the logo of like, again, I want to say it was Burger King in the
Is
center or
it
something.
something like this?
Yes, that's it.
Is it? Okay, cool.
That was very difficult to figure out. Um,
Oh, so these were individual. Okay, I see what you mean. These are individual C tunes that fit together.
that in and they fulfill this container of Burger King.
Mm. So how did you like? Did you just split up? Did you make like one big image and just start splitting them up, type of thing, or what?
I honestly I don't remember exactly
I
what we
wonder if we could
did,
find the
but
files. I bet we could.
it was
Uh,
I just remember that being one of those things where like, do I just quit the job? Like what? I have no idea how we're gonna pull this off.
that's funny.
I don't know. And I remember it being quite a challenge to figure it out, but
Yeah,
clearly we did because you're seeing it right there.
yeah, yeah. I remember my family did not eat Burger King a lot, and I wanted to go to Burger King
Just
to
get the
get
Z
these,
codes.
and they were like, "No, we're not going to Burger King. We don't like Burger King in this family." I'm like, "Okay."
All right. Yeah,
Uh,
because we're like, this thing is gonna have to be huge. It's gonna like take up half the screen because it's,
yeah,
it's got to fit these other things in it. And is it specific to was that like Dragon Ball Z or something
yeah,
too?
Dragon Ball
So
Z.
yeah,
Yep.
so and then you got to make the things tiny.
Yeah. Oh yeah, because it looks like it was like real photo, like, or did you draw? the toys. So these were the toys from the.
That's what it was. They were the toys that came with the food, and we had
Yes.
yeah, and we had to figure that out. And I don't remember how we did it, but I remember it being quite the challenge.
I know that there were other ones like this as well, where I guess y'all drew the real life toy. I think there were some other sponsorships like that as well. Was it? So it sounds like
Possible.
this was kind of the first one that came through and was like,
Yeah, I don't remember any of the other ones needing to like lock into place
yeah, yeah,
and whatnot. So yeah,
yeah,
that was a
that was
difficult one.
special. Yeah,
And quite
that's
honestly, that's the only promotion I remember because it was that kind of a thing. Was
cool.
like, oh my gosh, what are we gonna do?
Turn in my notice right now. Yeah.
Right, you figure it out.
Yeah. What about pricing? So, did pricing emerge bottom up from the community? I know that there's been talk online about a tunanomics or a tunanomist that was hired early on to kind of help with that. Did y'all have much to do with that, or did you kind of were you around the people that did that?
Personally, I did not. That's an excellent question for Robert.
Okay, great.
I because it might have been something he personally worked on, or if not, he would have worked with them.
With them, yeah,
Uh,
makes sense. Yeah. What about you mentioned like in the old Hanna Barbera
mhm.
uh, line of cartoons. Was the intake process for the older cartoons like that different from things like Ed Ed and Eddie, Cow and Chicken, these other that were like new at the time, or did y'all really just have full access and
So Cartoon Network was started because Ted Turner bought the MGM
yeah,
library and didn't know what to do with all these cartoons. So we had
nice,
full reign of all of the classics.
nice, that's
Like
awesome.
nobody cared. It was like do whatever you want with these guys. I mean, with
That's cool.
obviously within reason, but
Sure,
it
yeah,
was
yeah, yeah.
yeah. I mean, I had a file cabinet full of model sheets from every show you could imagine.
Hmm, that's awesome. You still have any of that stuff?
I've got some.
Yeah,
I kind of I think I have like a stack, like because at one point I put them into like folders, like little three ring binder folder
yeah.
type things, and I have like um, the Ed and Eddie characters and Johnny Bravo and Scooby
That's cool.
Doo and a handful of the Hanna Barbera stuff. So
Nice. It'd be cool one day next time you pull it out. I'd love to see some pics of that. I think
sure,
it'd be cool to
yeah,
share. Robert did share with me via email some of the stuff he had kept over the years as well, and it's really interesting to see all that.
they're
Yeah.
so we had as we were doing the actual drawings while they were still on paper of the cToons, they kind of got put in folders and just stuck in this file cabinet.
Hmm.
I don't know why we kept all that stuff, but what ended up happening was whenever there was somebody's birthday in the office, they would come to me and go, "Hey, can you draw a birthday card and we'll send it around the office?" And at one point, I was like, it happened so often, I'd be like, "Go over to the thing and just you get a C tune
You get a
birthday
cToon
card."
card. That's fun. That's
And
funny.
then I think word got out, and people were just helping themselves to all the C tune art. So
Yeah, that's cool. Um, and then let me find where I'm at here. Oh, so actually, you kind of mentioned this a little bit, but like the masters, where did they live? Were they in this archive? It sounds like they were kind of put in a folder
mhm.
and kind of, you know, hung out around the office. And it sounds like there is some of that people have kept over the years and just kind of dispersed out from whoever had it.
Yeah, I personally don't have any of them. Um, it would be fun had I kept some of that stuff, but um, I really don't know. I think that filing cabinet kind of existed for a while after I left,
Yeah,
and
ended
it
up in a
may
warehouse
just
somewhere,
have,
maybe.
yeah, it either probably got a couple of people maybe have grabbed a few things out of it, or it just got trashed at some point.
Yeah, yeah,
So,
makes sense. So this this one came from the community. This question around there were things like the Dexter's Lab camping themed set that
Hmm.
were not really a part of the canon of the show, but and so it was like, did y'all just have kind of like a pure creative license there, or did y'all could y'all kind of like do things that were outside of the canon of the show with certain tunes, but not with others?
Yeah. Oftentimes they came from a single episode.
Hmm.
There, there'd be one single episode that was coming out and premiering, and we got to know what was coming out next month, kind of thing, every week. So, um, you know, Robert might have said like, "Hey, let's do something that falls in line with that episodes," and it came out. I'm sure there were other opportunities like seasons, holidays, things like that that just kind of happened, and they just came up with ideas like, let's make the whole Dexter, character set of
Yeah.
camping. um, I It's been so long I don't remember which ones were which,
Sure.
which
Yeah.
were episode inspired and which were not.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. Um, how did so Magilla Gorilla was there was a certain tune. I don't know if you remember the C tune, but it was a one of one, and
Okay.
it was. Let me see if I can actually find it here. But it was a one of one, and people are curious how that worked. It was C tune. I don't know if I can find it, but did you have any knowledge of that, or like, um, do you
I
understand how that would have worked?
I don't remember why that was. I do remember that it happened,
Yeah.
and I don't remember who owned it. Um,
See if I can find it too.
yeah, I don't. That
So,
might have been a one-off for somebody particular. I don't
oh,
know,
really?
but um,
Were there any other tunes that were kind of like one-offs that like went to like random people that just weren't really widely distributed? I'm
not
assuming
that I
not a
recall.
lot, right? But like,
Yeah,
yeah,
I
yeah,
don't recall that happening.
yeah. Okay. Yeah, I can't find it right now, but if I do, I bet we'll come across it. But it was this Magilla Gorilla C tune that just so I'll show you. Let me share my screen here, and I'll show you. So these little C tune cards
Hmm.
that had, and sometimes it would say like total release 20,000 of this one, but Magilla Gorilla for whatever reason just says one under the
Hmm.
total released, um, and so everybody's been very curious how that worked, how it was released, why it was made in the first place. But yeah,
Yeah,
well,
Robert again.
yeah,
Ask him about that.
yeah. I'll definitely do that. Let me share. So I wanted to go through again and just kind of go. Let me get rid of that and pull that up. So this is the cartoon reorbit. I was going to show you some folks.
Wow, I
So
remember that.
this one's mine, but I'm going through some of the random. Which one did you say you remembered?
The floating ball thing. I remember
Yeah.
that.
Yep. Yep. That's a good one. Uh, the DBZ set is our fastest selling out set. Like within seconds,
Huh.
the crazy rares of like the Gokus and things were sold. Um, and then it was the first. We do things called packs. It was the
Hmm.
first pack to sell out. All the others had been like we've been online for about 3 months, and it's the not the only one right now, but it was the first one to sell out. It was so quick. Everybody loved it. And then there's some other, like you can have multiple C zones in this. So Avatar: The Last Airbender, also a community favorite, but that was never actually on Cartoon Orbit. And then you've got This is
Remember the Fred Flintstone one?
yeah, yeah, that's a good one. Um, and the early adopter, C Ring was
Right.
another
Yeah.
favorite. Yeah. Let
Wow.
me flip through these and see. So the Winball token, this is one that I guess so. I had this described to me from somebody in the community, but it was like you won this token, but then the cToon went away, but they kept the Winball game up so you could get points from it. And
Hmm.
I actually uh, developed the Winball a game. So I took the flash file and took the sounds and things from it, so it sounds
Hmm.
just like it did.
Wow.
And so people can kind of like relive it because I played this game so much, but people are curious like why they took. Were there other cToons that were supposed to come later that didn't end up going in the game, or do you know?
I don't remember.
Yeah.
Um, quite honestly, I'd forgotten all about the wind ball thing until you mentioned it.
Hmm. Yeah. Wind wheel was another one. It just spun the wheel, and um, so this is one again. Powerpuff Girls are huge. Everybody loves the Party Animals. Sea Ring. That's another classic one as well.
I do remember parents occasionally contacting us because somebody cheated their kid out of like their C-tunes and stuff, and they'd because they'd have some rare C-tune or something, and somebody would offer them just junks, and
Yeah. I mean that
and
definitely happened to me as a kid.
yeah,
There's the red guy.
yeah, that was one of my favorites.
A lot of Courage the Cowardly Dog as well. Um, my one of my favorites is Space Ghost. So Space Ghost was one of my favorite cartoons, um, and so I always enjoy like Brack, Space Ghost, Zorak, those characters.
Hmm. Yeah, my daughter has gotten really into Courage. She's 5.
Yeah,
She's
that's a good
now
tune.
watching as now as an adult. I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't believe.
Yeah, Courage was pretty wild back then, and as a kid, I guess you just don't know it. But then, like I've watched it recently as well. Um, this Vegeta's a hot one as well. Everybody loves Vegeta from Dragon Ball Z. So
I
cool.
have I had done all those C tunes, the Dragon Ball Z stuff.
Yeah,
I've never watched it.
really.
I
Yeah,
nothing
that's
about.
interesting. Yeah,
I
that
just I grew up on all the old cartoons, and
sure.
so
Yeah.
I mean I think the entire time I worked there, I was pushing for them to do Animaniacs, and they wouldn't let me.
Oh yeah. I
Um,
I have. Oh, I don't think they're original to their original Cartoon Orbit
uh,
ones, but we do
Cartoon
have
Network used it.
Animaniacs in the collection. I think it was shortly after uh, Cartoon Orbit closed. There was a remake called Collectoons. It was up for like 10 years or something,
Wow.
um, and they kept it going, and then it shut down as well. But they did it Animaniacs, and that's what we have in our Google Drive. Yeah, that was a good show. It was
Yeah.
Peaky and the Brain. Those were all just yeah classic tunes for me as well.
Right.
Um, all right, let me pull this back. So going to gToons, did you? I'm assuming you had you did the gToons art as well, or had like a hand in that art
Yeah.
too.
When it came time for gTunes, at that point, everything was Flash, and we were basically just taking style guide art. We weren't drawing anything,
Hmm.
original for it. There was a, a template. We just opened it up and slid the artwork in there and positioned it, resized it, and saved it
Yeah.
out. So, um, and there was a company. Why do I want to say like White Wolf or Wolf. It had something to do with Wolf, and they were a card game company,
Hmm.
and they created like what all those, because basically it's a card game,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
So they created all the rules and what C or G tunes had what powers, and
Yep.
they did all of that behind the scenes, and then we just had to come in with a list and go. we need this guy, this guy, this guy, this guy, this guy, this guy. And
Mm.
so we just put that together. But you probably played the majority of the staff at some point in that game.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, we'd sit at our desk and play gToons all the time, and we were we were just like we knew because we had all the information from this
Yeah.
group was like, so we knew how to build the best decks, and we were just like on there
That's
just
hilarious.
dominating the boards.
That's awesome. So, was there any type of like rules that you yourself, not rules to the game, but like rules for design or rules for that you use? Any other special constraints for gToons that came about?
No, and again, mostly because it was just very specific.
Yeah.
Like it was, it literally just came down to here's a list of gTunes you have to make, and here's the template, and we just
Yeah.
saved out.
That's cool.
I mean, I think I could knock out like 30 of them in a day.
Yeah. That's also so. I don't know if you know the game Marvel Snap. It's like a phone game, like really quick.
Good friend of mine plays it. Yeah.
Yeah. So I recreated Marvel Snap with gToons,
Oh
and
wow.
so on here, like you have the energy and you like put them there because I there's a bunch of remakes of gToons, but I didn't really want to like there's already remakes of it, right? So I wanted to put a spin on it. But also all the gToons, there's actually a Google sheet that has all the previous gToons, what
Oh
their
wow.
powers were. It's like a whole database of all of them. And so we use that to kind of help us kind of bring it back in a way. So that's pretty cool. Was there any
That's great.
improvement to gToons that you like wanted to do but weren't able to do? Anything come to mind?
I'm I think there was always times where like we wanted new characters or things
Mm,
like that, and it was um because this company had pre-laid everything out. It was kind of like final,
yeah.
and I think at one point they started to expand it, but they had to go back to that company and they had to do like all this work on how do we keep
Mm,
it balanced and yet add new characters to it.
yeah. Yep. That is the challenge we're also facing. So yeah,
Right.
makes sense.
Yeah.
Um, so Copa was a big deal in early internet
Hmm.
times. And one of the key features that I think was kind of Copa compliant, there was actual news articles about Cartoon Orbit doing this, was predetermined chats, right? It wasn't like a live
Hmm.
chat where you could type in anything. But how did that kind of constraint shape the animation or the UI or even just like how y'all designed for events?
Um, I wouldn't say it really did much as far as what we were doing,
Yeah.
in that, I mean, it was, on one hand, I recall it being annoying, just like, why can't I pick my own name for this?
Mm,
Because you had to do, what was it, like three tumblers, and you had to
yeah. That's what we
come
do on
up,
our site. Yep.
come up with these crazy names. And
Yeah.
I recall sitting there hitting the buttons until we could come up with something that was like slightly
It's
questionable.
slightly. Yeah.
It's like, should that happen? I'm gonna go with it. It's like,
Yeah,
because that's
exactly.
kind of funny, but it falls within the.
Yeah.
Um, so I recall that, but when it comes to the chat, it was just it. I personally, we didn't really use it much, because there
Yeah.
was you couldn't really say anything. You
Yeah. It
know,
was very limited.
yeah.
I think on our website, I just had ChatGPT like come up with 50 predefined messages and
Okay.
like,
Yeah,
so
and
yeah.
yeah. So there was it, but as far as like any of the stuff I designed, like it didn't really have any impact because
Yeah.
we were already like, this is going to be seen by a million people. So you don't do anything you shouldn't do with these characters.
Yeah. Yeah.
You
Makes
know,
sense.
and
What about Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say I don't recall any kind of like screening process to make sure we didn't put anything
Yeah.
in there.
It didn't like slow down the production line or anything like that.
Nah, yeah.
Yeah. Makes sense. What about, so we talked a little bit about this, about people getting scammed from the uh, trading and
Yeah.
parents being upset. Was there any learnings that y'all had? I mean, what was kind of like the biggest challenge that you remember kind of seeing back then? And did y'all try to do anything to, uh, you know, I don't know, educate the kids more that like, hey, this is unfair, or you may not want to do this? I don't know.
So I don't entirely remember, and because that wasn't something I would have handled, so it would have
Yeah,
just been like something I heard in the office. Again, Robert might have more insight on that
yeah.
because I'm guessing he may have had to handle it. Um, I recall them locking people's accounts.
Oh wow. Yep.
Um, so I think if there was, I think if there was somebody that was doing it and doing it consistently, and they would lock their account and give people back their stuff
Oh,
and
so they
wipe
kind of put the
and
inventory back into the system.
yeah, I think that's what they did. I remember hearing them locking accounts out and like taking their stuff away
Yeah,
if they had
gotcha.
done that.
Yeah. And then, do you know kind of like duplicate accounts, scams, and exploits? It's fun in the community now to talk about the
Mhm.
exploits of like people being like, I did this and it worked for like 3 months and then they caught on to me. Um, but was there anything that surfaced the most or just came to mind? And did y'all, again, just respond in any certain way?
Nothing stands out.
Yeah.
Um, Again, it's not. It would have been something I just
Yeah, I
heard,
just heard.
overheard in
Yeah,
the
that makes
office.
sense. Was
So
it was there anything in particular that was like a favorite wholesome community moment that you witnessed of like, oh wow, like we didn't intend for this thing to happen, but like that people really clung on to this, or this really blew up and I wasn't expecting that, or some kind of a wholesome community type of moment.
so not while I was there, but not too long ago, about maybe a year and a half ago, I first started using Reddit,
Hmm.
and I saw there was Cartoon Network stuff, and there was this big thread about um, people like yourself that love Cartoon Orbit, and I was like texting all my friends, "You got to see this," and then oh my gosh, people remember Cartoon Orbit. Like I thought we were just like this footnote or something, right? And so I'm like sending everyone the link on this is so cool. And I think I even chimed in. It was like, I made those. I was working
That's
on those.
awesome.
This is so cool that you guys love this. And so for me that was probably that moment, was
Yeah,
and then when you reached out to me, it was just like, wow, it's like this is bigger than I thought.
yeah.
I to me that was just a job I had 25 years ago. And
Hmm.
it was like um and what I think I phased out of Cartoon Orbit after about 3 or 4 years,
Yeah,
and so roughly about shortly after gToons came out, and so um, I probably spent third of the time I was at Cartoon Network was spent on Cartoon Orbit, but it
hmm.
was what got me in the door, and it was fun, and it was like this new and exciting thing, and I loved it, but I had no idea that somebody cared enough to resurrect it, and then there was other people that wanted to join him in that. I mean, that's awesome.
Yeah,
It's so much fun to think about that.
yeah, absolutely. What so looking at talking about kind of the end of it, it sounds like, things kind of slowed down in 2005. It sounded like you were gone around 2005-ish.
So I so at one point Cartoon Network Online decided they wanted to start their own in-house games department.
Hmm.
And so, um, well, just actually just prior to that, I got pulled aside to work on two two games, I think. One was a Cartoon Network mini golf game,
Hmm.
and that eventually came out on like a CD ROM.
Oh, really?
And it was like, yeah, but it was, I think, I don't remember if it started on the CD ROM. So there was a mini golf game and something
Was
else.
it this one?
Can't see it. Cartoon Cove, yeah, yeah. So that was like probably the first game that I worked on. and
Nice.
and then I want to say there was another one, and somebody packaged them and put them out as a CD-ROM. And then I got pulled off to go work on this games team, and we did a game called Clone-A-Doodle, and it was like Dexter, and you had to like make these fences and get these chickens without the fence hitting the chicken.
Yeah.
um, and then from there, we kind of became like the games team that would do like if a new show came out, we would do that particular game. So like when Chowder came out, we made a Chowder game. And the
Hmm.
funny thing is there were no episodes available. We knew nothing. We'd never seen one. We just had some style guide art, and we just had to come up with this bizarre game. And the Chowder one in particular is just weird.
What was the
And
chowder one? You said it was a.
it's something stomp, and you had to go around this like kitchen and jump up in the air, and you had these attachments that like a knife or a corkscrew or a masher, and it would like different fruit was on the ground, and you had to like
Rump
either, yes, that's
Rump a
what it was.
thump.
And you had to do all this stuff to it. um it was
That's
so
so funny.
bizarre, so bizarre. And and then the show came out, and we're just like, okay, we had no idea what we were doing.
That's funny.
No idea. um and there were a couple incidents like that where new shows came out, and we had to put these new games together. And um there's this guy that worked with me at Cartoon Network named Brad, and I've never met anyone in my life that knew more about video games than Brad. Like he is like the Wikipedia of video games in his head. And so we'd sit around these meetings like, oh, what kind of game are we gonna make? And someone would go, oh, I played this game once, and I don't remember the name of it, but it had this feature and this and that. And Brad would go, was it this? And you were like, yeah. And he was just like amazing at that kind of stuff. And so again, we had a small team. We kind of had There were two of us that were animators, myself and Andre Moore, and then there was kind of two main programmers, and then producer and a graphic designer, and then Brad, the game developer. And so it was kind of
Yeah.
his idea, and then we had two games going at once. And so Cartoon Network was releasing like a game a week, I think,
Wow.
at the time. And so we would be the two of us had games going on opposite schedules, and then we were also bringing games in from outside sources. And so we were constantly just knocking out games. And then we did uh what is that called, the fighting robots that were all painted up to look like the characters.
Yeah.
TKO.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we did that. That was one of the last games I worked on, I think, because at the time, um what was it? Cartoon Network developed an MMO
Hmm. Yeah.
with like a Korean company, and that they spent a ton of money on it, and it struggled on how to make money, and they kept trying different models with it.
Hmm.
and kids were just used to doing free games on Cartoon Network,
Yeah.
and parents were going to pay for it, and so they were like trying to sell subscriptions, and script that didn't work. So then they went to ad based, and then the ad based thing didn't work, and it was like, and that was about when they let me go at the end of 2009.
Hmm. So then talking like diving into the close there, uh, one way that someone in the community described it was like in 2005 there was a slowdown, lots of bugs and cheating and very few updates, and then it just kind of like all of a sudden in 2006 came to an end. Was there
Right.
like I guess how did the team process that, but then also like what was the reason for the slowdown, do you think?
So as I mentioned, like I gotten phased out. Um, Robert had already started to get phased out, doing other priorities. They brought in a very good friend of mine now. His name is Solomon, and Solomon kind of took over Robert's job, and um, he was trying to do a lot of stuff with promotion stuff, like
Hmm.
bringing in sponsorships and stuff. And I think at that point it was just a hard sell because it had already ran its course, and so um, everyone just started getting different priorities, and no one was putting focus on orbit anymore.
Yeah.
It was just, and I'm pretty sure there were conversations of, let's just let it fade out.
Hmm.
We're not just gonna cut the cord. We're just gonna like,
Just do nothing.
yeah, we're gonna ghost all these kids.
Yeah. Yeah.
Basically what happened, they ghosted you all. um yeah, they so everyone just kind of faded out.
Went out of the ways.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. No, that makes sense. Especially like being an adult now and in business, uh, it makes sense. If it's not bringing in business, if it's not, you know, they
Right.
were probably looking for the dollar. So, yeah, I understand that.
And there had also been the internet crash. So there was like
Hmm.
2000, there was all this money being poured in, and then all of a sudden there was none. And so they just switched priorities. And I don't remember what else was going on at that time. I don't remember at what point mini match came along, but that took on quite a bit of focus.
Yeah, mini match. Look that up. Oh, I don't remember this one.
Really? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That was Cartoon Network's attempt at doing player versus player games.
Yeah.
And
Okay, so this would have been after I graduated high school. So,
okay.
yep. Yeah. Oh, that's interesting.
And that was kind of short lived as well. But again, it was the kind of thing where you create an account and then you could sign up, and all the
Hmm.
games were turn based. But there was some fun stuff. I actually made some of the games for that.
That's cool. Yeah, that's neat. I was just looking it up. Um, yeah, so you talked a little bit about this, but like, fans over the years have archived tons of the assets. And also, we've got the remakes that have come about over the years, Cartoon Reorbit being one of the ones uh, that I've developed. And so I'm curious just your thoughts on the preservation efforts. And I think, did you ever really think that it would be something that people were creating a community around, 20 plus years later?
Not at all. It's awesome. I love it. I would have never in a million years dreamed that someone would care about it, especially because like looking at some of that cToon art, and I'm like, oh my gosh, the quality is so poor. And it it was a lot of fun at the time, lots of fun,
Yeah.
and I could talk all day about that. But um, I forgot about it.
Yeah.
So the fact that you guys had enjoyed it so much that you wanted to keep it going and bring it back, and that says a lot. Um, makes me feel good that all this work I did 20 years ago is, you know, made all of you kids enjoy it so much back then.
Yeah.
Because, I was, my early, well, mid 20s at the time. And I was just like riding on the glory of having a business card that said Cartoon Network.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
um, I was making all right money, but not great money at the time. But,
Yeah.
it was um, we'd go to, we'd go to conferences and stuff, and you had that badge that said Cartoon Network, and everyone wanted to be your friend. It
Yeah.
was, it was a lot of
That's
fun.
cool. That's
It was a lot of
awesome.
fun.
All right.
So
Light. Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say, I can't thank you guys enough for, you know, at the time playing it, loving it so
Yeah.
much, and then again being an adult and bringing it back.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. It's a lot of fun even today. All right. Lightning round.
Sure.
Quick, punchy answers. Favorite Cartoon Network show from that era to draw?
Billy and Mandy.
Vector or bitmap? Pick one forever.
Vector.
Yeah, I thought so. One Cartoon Network character you wish had more cToons.
Ooh. I don't remember who didn't have many. I'm gonna say Billy.
Okay.
I don't remember how many he had, but you can never have
Yeah,
enough Billy.
can't have enough Billy. Most underrated orbit, set, or tune.
Ooh. You're asking a lot of an old man to remember
Hey,
that.
you can go with Billy again.
All
Let's
right, Billy.
say go with Billy. Tool you couldn't live without back then and now.
Mice Antique.
All
Yeah.
right, and then personal favorite. Personal favorite C-tune would be Billy, and I guess show would be Billy and
Well,
Mandy. Yeah,
that or the red guy
yeah,
bouncing on his
cow and
butt.
chicken.
That's kind of
Yeah,
amazing. Yeah.
yep, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Noel. Just for
Yeah.
people that want to kind of keep up with you, where can they find you? How can they follow you?
So, um, the only kind of art page that I have left is just it's my name on Instagram. I took down my website because I'm in a corporate gig and I don't have time to
Hmm.
do extra stuff at the moment. But if you want to look at what I've done, just pre-COVID, I was posted a bunch of art. It's just Noel Saabye. Um, and let's see. If you want to see some of my demo reels of some of the games I did and stuff, you can look me up on YouTube. And I've got, again, I never post anything new on there, but my logo is like this cartoon skull and crossbones with the clown nose on it.
Yeah, Clown Pirate Productions, right? Yep.
Yeah, that's my
Yeah,
kind of my side biz.
yeah. Well, thank you, Noel. I appreciate all
Sure.
the work back then, and bringing something that was really special to myself and others in their childhood, but also for your time today
Absolutely.
as well. And thanks everybody for watching. You can come over to Cartoon Reorbit, relive some of the magic, and we'll chat later. Thanks everybody.
Great. Thanks.